Hello again. Welcome back. It's good to be back. I know it's been quite a while since I've done a video uh, and been doing these, but I'm going to get back to doing them. I really miss this. I miss doing this. I miss this time of just. I feel like it's a good time for us to be able, even though I can't hear you, but just a great time to be able to share the word, to gather together in a way like this and just be able to talk about the word, talk about the Spirit of God, ways that God would shape our lives more and more into the image of Christ. And that's really what it's all about, is this daily walk, just being so dedicated to Christ, to live a life that is with every heartbeat, every breath, every fiber, every atom, every molecule of our being lived to honor and worship Him. And so, as always before, thank you for joining in on this. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to many, many more. If you ever have questions, comments, anything, please feel free to lay them out there. Always more than happy to discuss things, discuss topics, stuff like that. Take it through the Bible. Like I love that. I love that interaction. And so we're just going to dive right into this, and I'm going to talk today from the idea, the direction of worship or proximity. And in dealing with this, we have to understand there is a very, 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 very large difference in worship and just proximity with Jesus. And for this, we're going to go to Luke, and I'm going to start in Luke 7, and I'm going to start in verse 36, and it says, "And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would come and eat with him, and he went to the Pharisee's house and sat down to eat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat at the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden Jesus saw it, he spoke within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that touched him, for she is a sinner." Now I'm going to skip down a little bit to verse 44, and it says, "And he turned to him and said, Simon, do you see this woman? I entered into your house. You gave me no water for my feet, but she has washed my feet with her tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head. She gave me no kiss, or you gave me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, has not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil you did not anoint, but this woman has anointed my feet with ointment. Therefore I say unto you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loves little." Now this is dealing with the direction of worship or proximity. See, here we see a Pharisee that desired, he requested for Jesus to come and dine at his house, to come and eat. And so this Pharisee is looking solely at proximity, solely being recognized as somebody who has housed this man of God, this prophet, this healer, this person who is becoming well known through signs and wonders and all of these things, the teachings, and so here this Pharisee wants to be seen in proximity with Jesus. Oh, this man, he came to that Pharisee's house. The Pharisee must be righteous, must be holy, he must be good. The whole purpose of this, we understand, is not a heart of worship that is behind this Pharisee in desiring Jesus to come to him. We can see because his first reaction to the woman is a manner of looking at her with condemnation, a manner of looking down upon her, because he says within himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know this woman, what manner of woman this is that touches him, for she is a sinner. See, his heart was not set to worship. He solely wanted the proximity. Now, you deal with this woman, you think about what happens. Here is this woman breaking all protocol. She goes into a house she's not invited. She does something that is unprecedented in the sense of things going on. She gets down. She doesn't care that Jesus' feet are dirty. She doesn't care in any way about what her hair is going to look like when all of this is done. She doesn't care about the tears streaming from her face. She doesn't care that being down and wiping his feet with her hair and the dust in her face and the tears, it's going to make her face dirty and it's going to make her garments dirty. Why? Because she's down on her face at his feet, and all the dust is going to turn into clumps on her face and the dirt in her hair, and it's going to make her hair look matted and you see, this woman had one sole focus, and that was worship. She was solely focused on Jesus Christ himself, to worship him as he is. That is what we are to be. If we give this level of dedication, of focus, of zeal, of passion to real and true worship, then really our whole life, every aspect of our life, not just Sunday morning, not just Sunday night, but every moment of every day is lived in a dedicated, surrendered worship to the glory of Christ. You know, one of the things through this, God is, and it's a song many people have heard, but it's, to worship you I live, to worship you I live, I live to worship you. And God really kind of, I guess, pricked my heart on that, to think about how many times we've sang that song without actually meaning what the song says. To worship you, I live. I live to worship you. That's every day. It takes the whole man to be of worship. True, pure worship. Just as this woman, you understand, it took every part of her, not just her mind, not just her body, not just her heart or spirit. It took her whole person to be in that form of worship. Why? Because she came in absolute broken reverence and humility before Christ. Her body laid out on the ground, down on her knees, down on her face, the position of worship, of service, the position of humility and brokenness. The tears, her face was streaming with tears of mental and spiritual, not just physical. That took that inner man that was weeping and sobbing at his feet. Everything given. Her whole person was given to the worship of Christ. And I think about how often we would show up on Sundays and Wednesdays, and we go through these certain motions, and because of worldly distractions, we're mentally not all the way there, or because of certain things going on in our life, in our heart, we're really not there, or we come in physically and we're not rejuvenated and thriving in the spirit. And so because our flesh man is tired, we just kind of halfway go through motions. And to think of how precious Jesus really is, he needs to be everything to us. Every single piece of precious glory, he is what he needs to be to us. And when we live that way, we live in worship, we live in that glory, we live in that majesty, where no matter what, worship is not circumstantial, it's not situational. This type of heart that this woman brings doesn't come just because God does something good, or because I have a moment where a preacher preaches and I feel a little bit bad, but because my very life, the breath, the heartbeat, every single piece of me, my whole man is dedicated to this type of life of worship. Now, to think about the Pharisee side, and what that looks like today. The Pharisee wanted Jesus to sit at his table only for the presentation of what other people would see. This woman had no care. She had no care who saw her, no care who recognized her, no care of any of that. Nothing. It did not matter to her. She wanted to worship Jesus Christ. And so from the Pharisee side, we see where this is a people. These are the people nowadays that are religious motion based. And just like he says in the Old Testament, it's brought into the New, but a people whose lips honor, but their heart is far from him. That is when our entire man is not there. Our entire person is not there. When we're there half-hearted, when we're there mentally distracted, when we're there physically too tired, and in that we're not livening up to worship him. Listen, it's amazing at how to think, and I'm not trying to condemn, but please understand, even when I'm physically tired, if there is something that would spark, I remember back before, right, a certain movie or a certain game or something of that sort, even if I was tired, I could muster up the energy to watch that movie or to play that game or to whatever it was. But why? Because that something was important to me. It was important enough that I would kind of forego the rest side. And yet when it comes to the things of God, because we're physically tired, we want to fall asleep in church. We want to just so tired, I just can't. And that is because we are stuck not giving the whole man to Jesus. We're stuck not giving our whole self to the worship and the honor of Jesus Christ. That's what we're stuck in. The Pharisee of the modern day cares about whether or not the building is perfectly climate controlled, whether or not the pews are comfy, whether or not a flower arrangement is just right, whether or not something here or something there seems out of place, what the carpet color is, what Betty came in with, what Kevin came in wearing, whatever the shoes are, whatever the hat is, whatever the clothes are, whatever this, whatever that. Oh man, we get so caught up. That's the Pharisee. The Pharisee solely shows up to church service for proximity. It's all about, they want to be seen in proximity to Jesus, but they don't want to worship him. That heart is not set to truly worship Christ. That's the modern day Pharisee. There's no reverent worship. It is solely lip service. It is solely to the place of coming in to check that religious box. As I've talked before, it's just checking off to make ourselves feel better. Why? Because that's what we've been taught. We've been taught to show up and throw some money in the offering plate and clap our hands a little bit and say amen and go through these motions, and then we leave and we feel completely justified. Now let's think about this in the sense of taking it to what Jesus teaches us of the publican and the Pharisee. The Pharisee comes in self-righteous, pompous, chest puffed up, nose up in the air. Oh God, all these things that I do. I tithe this, I give this, I do this, all these things that are so great, all these things that I do. I'm glad I'm not like this guy that's so full of sin and so wretched and so miserable. Just absolutely thankful that I'm not like this guy. And the publican, the Bible says he comes in, he hits his knees. He won't even look up. Oh, God, give us such a heart. He won't even look up to heaven. But he keeps his head down and he just pats his chest. God, have mercy on me, a sinner. This woman, Jesus even says, therefore I say to you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. Threading that, Jesus asks, which one do you think left the temple justified before God? Oh, well, the publican, you're right. The one that couldn't look up, the one that did not come in thinking of himself as more, the one that showed up, who didn't want to just try to air out, look at what all I've done, and look at what great things I've done, and look at the ways that I've lived, and I'm so righteous and so good. He came in, and all he could do in reverence to a holy God was just say, God, have mercy on me. That was enough to justify him before God. That Pharisee may have left justified before himself, but not justified before God. I fear these days that we have too many, much like this Pharisee in Luke 7, who they are proximity people. They're proximity churchgoers. They are proximity beings. They just like to be in proximity to things labeled with Jesus. And their heart is really not set to worship. Their life, their blood, the very pumping of their heart and the blood pulsing through their body. If you cut them, they bleed Christ. Christ alone is all you can see pouring out of their veins. We don't worship with that. We don't love Jesus with that precious kind of love and affection. We don't adore him that way. And that causes us to be much more like the Pharisee, to be distracted by all the things that aren't suited to our manner or our liking. Rather, when we come in, it may be a little hot. It may be a little cold. Maybe the air is broken. Maybe there's dirt on the floor. Maybe the building just does not seem all that comfortable, but that's not what we've shown up for. That's not what we gathered for. We gathered for Christ when our heart is right. And so we don't care. We don't care. Just like this woman, when she got up, there's no doubt her hair was matted. Her face was clumped with little bits of mud from the dust. Her garments, her clothes, no doubt, had dirt on them, but she didn't care. She wanted to worship Jesus. We're so worried about how we look. We are Pharisees rather than worshipers. We want the proximity, but we don't want worship. I love thinking about what this woman did. How Jesus says, you see this woman? You gave me no water for my feet. She has washed my feet with tears. How many tears do you think flowed from her eyes to be able to wash them with hair? You gave me no kiss. She didn't come in and start trying to kiss his head. She didn't come in trying to be flamboyant. She didn't come in trying to be noticed. She didn't come in an attempt to make a scene. She came in and she laid at his feet. And he says, but this woman, since the time I came in, has not stopped kissing my feet. My head you did not anoint with oil, but this woman anointed my feet with ointment. I truly fear, because of how easy we self-justify, how easily we come in and go out and go through motions, how easily we are offended or distracted. I fear that we are far, far more Pharisee than worshiper. We need to be in the place where proximity is not what matters to us. Worship matters to us. And I'm going to read something that a very dear friend wrote as we were talking back and forth about this. I had texted him a big part of some of this that dealt with, and he over in Uganda, and he messaged back, and I'm going to share it because it's powerful. And this is what he said. I love this. There is a difference between sitting at the table and falling at his feet, between inviting him into our space and surrendering to his presence. The Pharisee gave proximity, the woman gave worship. One wanted to be seen with Jesus, the other didn't care who saw her. May our tears speak louder than our titles. May our hearts break before his holiness. May we stop settling for nearness and start hungering for oneness. True worship isn't polished, it's poured out. And when we live in a heart to worship, a heart that is dedicated to the worship of Christ, that is dedicated just to exalt him. We're not, the circumstance, the situation of our life, the things that we go through, what things are going on around us are all irrelevant. It doesn't matter for work, for driving down the road, whatever it is, it doesn't make a difference when our heart, when our entire man is 3 parts. And when all those 3 parts are set in, that's where the true worshiper, when Jesus is talking and says the true worshipers in John, the true worshipers who worship Father in spirit and in truth, those are the ones that, as worship is not just music based, it's not hype based, it's not entertainment based, it is life based. The very essence, the very oil, the fragrance, the outflow of our life is that our whole man, physically, mentally, spiritually, our whole man is set to just worship. And that song becomes more real than it ever has been. To worship you, I live. I live to worship you. I pray that that would be said of our lives. I pray that that would be said of everything that we are, that we would understand that our life is that alabaster jar. Our life is what that oil, what that fragrance flows from. And that alabaster jar would truly be broken. Why? Because the value of it is nothing compared to the preciousness and the majesty of Jesus Christ. We don't care for our lives to be broken. We don't care for it to be messy. We don't care for it to look dirty. We don't care if our eyes are tear stained. We don't care if our hair is matted. We don't care if our clothes have dirt because we've laid out before the Lord at his feet. We just care to worship. We just care that he is glorified, that he is magnified. And we just want him to be praised from our life. We don't do it to be seen. We don't do it to be looked at. We don't do it so that others see the proximity, if you will. We do it solely for the fact that he is worthy to be loved and honored and adored and worshiped. He is worthy of every single breath, of every single day. I pray that our lives would become such a living, breathing way that that's our heartbeat, to worship the Lord. Thank you for being here for this time. I pray truly for you. I pray for me. I pray our hearts would be set to honor him, to worship him, to magnify him. I pray that our life would really be lived, given to his honor and his glory and his majesty. I love each and every one of you. Thank you again for being here. I look forward to the next time. And I just pray that this message finds you, touches your heart, and transforms you to a worshiper. In the name of Jesus, thank you. Amen.